In and around 1976, some fire departments got together for a need. They seen a need to have some improvements in the fire service in and around I say the Strait area, but our whole area altogether. The mission was to provide continuous improvements to the fire and emergency services in the Strait area. Currently, we have 28 fire departments in our association, which covers parts of Richmond County, Inverness County, Guysborough and Antigonish County, towns of Port Hawkesbury, Mulgrave, and Antigonish. A highly dedicated team of volunteers operating emergency services while providing critical help as needed. An asset to local residents, businesses, industry, schools, municipalities, provincial governments, and guests to the region. Some of our affiliations that we deal with quite often: Fire Service Association of Nova Scotia. Both Bobby and I sit on the board of directors of the Fire Service Association of Nova Scotia. Maritime Fire Chiefs Association, Nova Scotia Firefighter School. Bobby sits on the board of that as well. Emergency Health Service, the Office of the Fire Marshal, and Training Fire Association organized, by our chairperson. We have a training chairperson that takes care and organizes training for our members and departments. Some of the stuff that's been achieved over the last couple of years, one of the needs that came up that we talked about for improvements in the area was a way to page and notify emergency personnel about emergencies. So purchased, begged, borrowed, got a hold of, paging system upgraded over the years. Everything that was done was bought and done by the Mutual Aid Association to be able to alert people that what the emergencies are, where it's going to be. We were one of the first ones in Cape Breton to have an air bottle filling station for our self-contained breathing apparatus, which is located in the Port Hawkesbury Fire Station. This enables departments to get air bottles filled for emergencies 24/7. If it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, we can get it done. Mutual aid agreement enables neighboring departments to respond to other coverage areas when requested. Again, later on in the presentation, I'll mention the word, because the word volunteer seems to be forgotten in the fire service. Most people talk about ex-fire department, no matter what the area is, but the word volunteer is forgotten a lot of times. So with the help of the Mutual Aid Association, we can always make sure we have enough people showing up when needed to be. Dispatch capabilities with local dispatch through 911, through our local dispatcher, Cancer Dispatch, out of Port Hawkesbury. They initiated a provincially recognized ground search and rescue unit, which primarily consisted of firefighters. They respond to searches both inside and outside our coverage areas, no matter where they're requested. Originally, as I said, it was primarily firefighters. It's grown to become an entity of its own, purchasing its own training center and command posts, and it responds to lost parties no matter where they're needed. A small list of equipment that we have in our association. Again, this is only the tip of the iceberg. 12 sets of extrication tools, commonly known as the jaws of life. 4 are located in Richmond County, 1 in the town of Port Hawkesbury, 2 in Inverness County, 1 in the town of Antigonish, 1 in Guysborough County, 3 in Antigonish County. Now, these units regularly respond to motor vehicle collisions outside the regular fire districts, because not everyone carries these jaws of life. So again, being part of the mutual aid, they go to other people's area when requested. 2 ladder trucks, 1 in the town of Antigonish, 1 in the town of Port Hawkesbury. Both of these have been responded well to emergencies inside and outside their respective coverage areas. Some additional equipment, several ATV snowmobile rescue sleds, ice and water rescue equipment, high and low angle rescue gear, confined space rescue gear, and gas testing equipment. Again, this is only a partial listing of the equipment that's in the Mutual Aid Association, operated by volunteer personnel, which are essential to respond to Richmond County and other county emergencies as well. These are the tools that protect our families, our properties, our local businesses, and our workplaces. What Richmond County could do to assist emergency preparedness in cooperation with the Strait Area Mutual Aid Association. Ask number 1. Meet regularly with our association to discuss concerns. For instance, how we make improvements to our paging system for areas that don't have really good cell coverage. No service, no response. The people don't know what's going on. It's hard for them to respond to it. Ask 2, provide us with information on how the municipality could fund, engineer, design, supply labor, and equipment to ensure that dry hydrants are in place for areas of Richmond County that do not have municipal water hydrant service. This is of the utmost urgency and importance to us. Immediate close availability of water is required for emergency firefighting. A third ask, consider how it's possible for Richmond County to assist in the purchase of needed equipment that could be shared amongst other departments, such as hose testing equipment, which would save individual departments money and ultimately preserve lives. Providing money for essential emergency preparedness equipment allows volunteers to have safe and reliable equipment when it's needed. Over the past several decades, fire departments have evolved and become more of an emergency service, responding to a lot more than just fires. Our volunteers, and once again, I stress the word volunteers, may not always be available to respond to emergencies due to family, work, or other commitments. This is a big reason why we feel that our association is critically important to ensure that adequate help is available during an emergency. In summary, our association strongly believes that because of mutual aid, emergency services in our area has become a huge asset for people living in, working in, and traveling through our coverage areas.
The average cost of the dry hydrant, for those who don't know, is there, I know every place is different, but is there an average runabout cost that's?
You're probably looking, and this is a guesstimate at the best of it, we did have an engineered plan made up for the engineering, the plans, and the permits needed to get started is round about $2,000. That's before you put a shovel in the ground.
Right.
You still have to buy your equipment, you still have to get the gear in there, and you still have to have a piece of land that's adequate enough that we can get in and out with several fire trucks. Because remember, this is a stagnant water source. It doesn't have any pressure to it. We have to have a truck right directly hooked to this pipe so we can draft or suck water from it, and then we can either push it to another truck and carry it to where we have to go or pump it directly to a fire. So not only does it have to have enough room to park a truck, we have to have enough room for a second truck to come in to be able to fill off it as well. You're probably going to look at the best part of $6,000 or $7,000 per hydrant.
The other point that you have to realize is what the dry hydrant location water supply is. For example, we now have issues with our one in Glendale, especially late July, late August. We still have a flow, but our pipe is now too high. So there are dry hydrant locations you'll have to put in a holding tank, right? So that the holding tank will be able to fill. The pipe is under enough water that you don't have an issue with air, right? So it basically, it's going to vary on the design for every different location.
So you identify the one in Cleveland, but I suspect there are other locations that are also requiring those.
Oh, absolutely.
In your mind, what would you see as the most urgent needed dry hydrants in our county?
Any place that does not have access to municipal water.
Richmond County currently has 3 dry hydrants. One's located in Cleveland that's non-functioning. One's located at the Lordways Fire Hall. And one is located in District 10.
And District 10 is not part of our association. They're outside ours. Because when I say we only cover parts of each county, not the whole thing. Our farthest one in Richmond, I believe, is Grand River.
Okay.
Do you have a rough idea that within this region, what the number would be that you think would be adequate?
Basically, for Richmond County, I can tell you right now that St. Peter's is currently looking at an installation of a dry hydrant in the River Bourgeois area. In speaking with the chief in Louisdale, I believe they're considering one on the Black River Road. Basically, for you to obtain that kind of information, it would be forthcoming from your individual fire departments, as they know their own areas. Just one comment to that, it's that we're in 2020, heading for 2021. The days of fire departments pulling up to a brook, having to chop ice, get a suction hose in. You know, we're more and more safety oriented today. It's very safe for our trucks and people to pull up and load through dry hydrants and onto other trucks.
So I noticed you had a couple of sort of asks, I guess, for Richmond County, and I think what we could do as a council is take a look at that and work with the staff and our emergency management coordinator to talk about how we can, move closer to the asks on your list. I really like the idea of having, regular meetings with your association. I mean, I think it's important to maintain that dialogue for darn sure. And of course, the other items related to, the access to water, the dry hydrants, and assisting with funding, that's something we absolutely can be looking at discussing within our budgeting conversations too for the new year.
We'd love you to be able to write us out a $500,000 check and say we can get it all done overnight. We know that's not what's
Right.
going to happen. But I think if we start to have a plan and look at a short-term and a long-term plan, that, okay, we're going to do X amount of them this year, where's the most important ones that's got to be put in, and let's start on it, and then work our way to where we have to be.
Yeah, certainly.
And again, we're going to be going, word on the street is that other municipal units wants us to go and do a presentation as well, so the word is getting out there that we want to push out who we are and what we do. And again, we really want to strive that it is volunteer what we do, and it's 24/7. When the tones go off, you can't, if it's a blinding snowstorm, you can't just roll over and say, I'm not going. It's, you get up and you go. So I've always been a bit biased towards the fire service for that. You hate to tap yourself on the back, and that's not what any of us are looking for. We're not looking for recognition. We do it because we love our communities and we love doing what we do. We're just looking for some help in doing it, and we thought it was a good way to start it.
I think if there's a table you do not need to convince to the value of volunteer firefighting, it would be this one. But I appreciate the emphasis. Yep, we've got a couple of volunteer members at the table, and certainly some of us been the recipient of your fantastic response.